A very good morning to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to the participants on behalf of organizing team CAT. Your presence makes us happy. The beautiful thing about the learning is that nobody can take it away from you. With this note, we all start our first session. Now I welcome the youngest engineer faculty of our department, ever charming, energetic faculty, systematic faculty, to introduce today's resource person. Ma'am, please.
Respected dignitaries, faculty members, and all the participants, a very good morning to you all. It's a great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker of this four-note session in the last day of our FDP. We are honored by the presence of Mrs. Ratna Arutselvan, who is a Deputy Manager at Deloitte Touche Tomatsu, India. She did her master's degree in cyber forensics and information security in University of Madras. She also qualifies certificate program in information systems auditor and ISO 27001 lead implementer. She acts as a consultant in payment card industry data security standard implementation support for one of the world's major energy company. We are lucky to have such an eminent person in our FDP. Let's hand over the session to her now. Ma'am, please take over the session, ma'am.
Thank you, Divya ma'am. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Warm welcome for our session today. I myself, Ratna Arutselvan, I work for Deloitte India, which is one of the big four organization across the globe, but I work for Indian organization. My designation here is a deputy manager, and I serve multiple clients who works as who works in payment card industry. I hold 5 years around experience in the same industry, and I anyways, Divya ma'am has explained it already. I hold my master's degree in cyber forensics and information security. And then I have done the security assessor qualification in the payment card industry as well. That is again one of the certification. I'm just sharing my screen. I'm just moving ahead for the session.
Ratna ma'am, is everything's okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Yes,
just
okay, fine.
trying to share it.
Okay, fine.
Ma'am, can you see my screen? Like, can you, if anyone could confirm it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
All right, okay. So today we are just going to talk about payment card industry and the recent trends. So payment card industry as in like uh, any card, any payment card, any debit card, any credit card or prepaid card, whatever, whatnot, about that entire transaction flow and like what are the new trends, I mean, globally applicable in the new, I mean, in the card industry. So what do we call it as payment systems? So payment systems are like few organizations combined together to make our payment transaction successful. So these are the payment systems or the organization which involves in our day-to-day transaction. If like we can, I mean, this is like, let's imagine something like we are making a transaction either using a debit card or credit card, what I mean, whatever the card. So these are the organization will be involved back end to complete the transaction. So RBI is our Indian regulatory. So so they would be involved here to route the payment transaction and the payment brands, as in if everyone must have seen in their own card at the right end. So there would be a embossed payment brands. So that's called Visa, Mastercard. RuPay is our Indian payment brand. Visa, Mastercard are global payment brands, and the banks. Banks as in like the bank who issues your card, and the other side there's one more bank who issues the POS machine or the ATM machines. So there are two different banks involved in every transaction. So the the banks who issues the cards, we call it as issuer banks, and the banks who issues POS machine and the ATM cards are the acquirer banks. So anyone can stop me in middle if they want, like if at all any questions. Let's not wait until the end of the session. We can just go discuss it in middle itself. And if we're going ahead, after these systems, whatever the systems involved in transaction, we should see, like, we should understand the difference between each of the types of the cards. So debit and ATM, many of us holds it. So whenever we open that bank account, so we always get debit or ATM card. And the credit card is like something which we opt for. Or like, yeah, for some of the transaction, I always say credit card is more safer than debit card. So when you use credit card in online transaction, so it's like, you are going to use bank's money, not your own money. So your own money is always in your ATM account or the debit account. So the credit, when we say it's a credit card account, so it's a bank's money. So we use bank's money and repay the amount when we complete the transaction, or at the end of the billing cycle. So if at all any hacking happens, or if any breach happens at your credit card, it is all, I mean, the liability always on the bank side and not on our own end. So bank always holds the account. So prepaid card is something like, Amazon card or something, Flipkart card, like, we always get it as a gift card. So which always loads with the cash, some cash, so we can use that in the certain e-commerce merchants. So there's one more card as well, petrol card. Uh, Nowadays, banks started issuing petrol cards as well. So this will again act as like a debit card, but you can use only in the petrol stations for your petrol services. But for all of these type of cards, transaction will route in the same way. So I'll just explain you how, like, uh, card elements will look like, and what needs to be shared with others and what not needs to be shared. Card elements, everyone has their own card. So at the front side of the card, we all have the name of the card holder, bank card number, valid expiry date, and there's a chip, and then logo of the bank, and then logo of the payment brands. At the back end, there's a magnetic strip which is like in a black color one, and then CVV, all this. So whatever is there on your back side of the card must not to be shared with anyone, and also the full card number. So bank never asks us to provide the full card number to anyone. So if at all we get a call from the customer care, so they will never ask for the full card number. They always ask for the last four digit of the card number, and also they never ask for the CVV or CVC number. So because these are the, sensitive data which we should never share it with anyone. So wherever, the transaction, we always do either ATM transaction or the online transaction. Online as in Amazon, Flipkart, and whatever, Tata Sky, everything. So all these we just call it as online transaction. So ATM or POS, like, you just go there and swipe your card and take out your money and then come back. Online transaction as in when you finish your purchase, you do the checkout, and then you give your card number, expiry date, CVV, and then you will get OTP, and then the transaction will get complete. But how does this transaction flow at the back end? So this is how. So online payment flow. So customer do the order in the merchant app. Merchant as in here we refer merchant, Amazon, Flipkart are the merchants. So once we give all the card numbers, expiry date, CVV, everything, so this will get encrypted. Encryption as in everything will go into unreadable format. from the merchant app or website itself. From there, it goes to payment gateway. Payment gateway is again a different organization who routes the transaction from merchant to the bank. So from payment gateway, it will check, like, whose card is this, who has issued the card, who is the payment gateway here, all this. Just a second. I'm getting a call from Dr. Jayapriya ma'am. I need to attend. Sorry everyone. So I have some questions in the chat box. Let me go to that. Okay. So, Sulabha, thank you, Sulabha Patel. So you have asked for two types of banks involved in the transaction. One is issuing bank. Other one is acquirer bank. Issuing bank, as in here, the bank who has issued your card. So your own bank, it's a customer bank. And the acquirer bank is a merchant side bank. Wherever you go, or wherever you swipe your card, um, so they so you will be facing your merchant, right? So they will have their own point of sale machine. So where you swipe the card is the point of sale machine. So that is always distributed by the bank. So that bank name is called as acquirer bank. And what is point POS? POS is nothing but point of sale. So where we uh, Jayapriya ma'am, can you hear me right? It's all good.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Continue,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, sure. So point of sale is nothing but it's just a machine where you see in the shopping mall or any any shops where they give you the machine to swipe your card. That is called point of sale. So this is where the online, I'm just coming back again to the ATM or POS payment flow. I'm just discussing about the online payment flow here. So I'm just starting from beginning. Customer, where they, once the order is successful, once they make the order successful, so they give their card number, expiry date, and then CVV. So from the merchant website, the entire transaction as in your entire card number, your name, expiry date, CVV, and the other details, your uh, order details, everything will get encrypted as in it is an unreadable format. It will be routed from the merchant website to the payment gateway. Payment gateway is nothing but the another different organization, so which checks, um, this is always connected with the merchant, not with our bank or with end customer like us. So merchant always have the payment gateway attached to them. So that's where, the transaction can be can be routed successfully to the bank to complete the transaction or do the authorization as in authorization meaning it is the approval of the transaction. So payment gateway helps for that. So payment gateway, what it does is they check, they again decrypt the entire transaction. Decrypt as in they'll read the transaction in it will come into readable format. So once they get a decrypted format, they will check for which bank has issued and who is the payment brand. So accordingly, they will send route it to the respective bank. So if at all I have a HDFC bank, so I'm using my own HDFC card in the Amazon. Amazon has the bank of SBI. So in that sense, from the merchant app, it goes to the payment gateway. From payment gateway, it will go to SBI to check whether I am holding SBI Bank or not. If not, again, it will send it to the payment brand. So it will check for whether it is a Visa or MasterCard or RuPay, whatever. So then from the SBI, it will go to Visa, MasterCard accordingly. From there, it will check for the which bank has issued this card. So we can always identify from the first 4 digit of the card number is like that is indicates the bank name. So payment brand will identify that first 4 digit of the card number to see which bank has issued the card for me. So now this will determine, so this is a HDFC card. So it will always send it back to the HDFC bank. And then HDFC bank, okay, this card is issued for Ratna. Okay, so and she has enough amount in her own account. Okay, I'm authorizing the transaction. From there, so that will approve the transaction. From HDFC bank, it goes back again to the payment brand. So the same way, it will go back again to the merchant. Payment brand, then it will go to SBI. From SBI, it will go to payment gateway. From there, it will go to merchant app, and then we get it as a message stating transaction is approved and we place the order. So this all should happen in few seconds. We always see the transaction completes in very less a few seconds, right? So that number of seconds is always determined by the Visa and MasterCard. So they are our global payment brands who gives the guidance on how to complete the transaction in a faster way and in a seamless way. So this is about the ATM or POS transaction flow. I'm just keeping myself as an example here. Again, I'm having HDFC card. I'm going to HDFC ATM. I'm just swiping the card and there to get the money. So I'm just swiping, and from there, from the HDFC ATM, it goes to the, it will check for like, it will go to their own bank, HDFC bank. From the bank, it will check for who is the payment brand. Is it a Visa, MasterCard, or whatever? And then it will check for the first 4 digit of the card number. It will see like, okay, this is our own bank customer. Okay, let's authorize the transaction. Again, then it will go, we would be getting cash immediately. If at all, like, if I'm swiping swiping my card in SBI ATM. So how it will happen here is, from the SBI ATM, it will go to the SBI bank. From there, it would check for the first card number, first 4 digit of the card number. Then it will see like, okay, this is not our bank. Then it will, okay. Then the next checkpoint is who's the payment brand here. Either it's a Visa or MasterCard or RuPay. Accordingly, it will route the transaction to the respective people. From there, from Visa, MasterCard, they would check like, again, first 4 digit of the card number. Okay, this card is under our payment brand. Then who is the issuer bank here? So accordingly, then it will go for the issuer bank is here is HDFC. From HDFC, it comes back again to payment brand and then SBI, and then we get the cash back out. So this is how the entire transaction happens. It's all like, virtually you can imagine this happens at the back end. So the consultants like me, who is a qualified security assessor, like, we have the separate certification itself, who has studied that and got the certification, always audits these kind of organization and attests them like, they are certified for the secure transactions. And if we say like, we have seen like ATM card, credit card and prepaid cards and all. Even for the prepaid cards and the petrol cards, like the transaction flow remains the same wherever you use it. So it is going to be the same. Only at the front end, the card type will be differed. Let me check for if any questions had come up. Okay, there are few questions. Okay, is there any specific requirement to get credit card? It depends on your own requirement. Anyone can get the credit card from the bank. but it's all your own requirement. So no one can tell you take the credit card or not. It's all own requirement. As per your own requirement, you can buy it. What is payment processor? So payment processor is nothing but like who process the entire transaction from merchant side until the acquiring bank. Acquiring bank is again like the same question routes back. Acquiring bank is nothing but your merchant bank, which is safer use which is safer using net banking or payment through debit or credit card. Okay, it is always safer if you are using net banking. It is safer, but if you're using your card transaction, it is safer to use the credit card because I'm repeating again. Uh, the credit card holds the bank's money, not our own money. So if at all any breach happens, it might not happen from our own end, but if merchant network is hacked, bank will hold the responsibility for it. So our money will be safe in our own account.
One question, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Please go on.
Here you are using the word merchant bank and payment gateway. So if you are showing a flowchart regarding payment gateway, is it checked by RBI at that end when we are seeing payment gateway at our screen?
Okay, so I'm just coming back. My next slide will talk about it, ma'am.
Okay,
Like how
merchant bank and payment gateway. Kindly make it clear.
payment gateway is something different, ma'am. So they will route the transaction from the merchant to the acquiring bank. Okay, acquiring bank is nothing but your merchant bank. So merchant as in your Amazon, Flipkart, or if you are directly
Okay.
swiping the card in any shopping mall, they will be your merchant. So
Oh,
they'll hold
okay.
the power, right? So that will also be issued by one of the bank.
An
So they will
acquiring
be,
bank is that in which we are having our account. That is the
no,
acquiring bank.
no. It where merchant holds the account, that is called acquiring bank. So where
Fine.
we have the account is called issuing bank.
Right, ma'am. Right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, I'm moving again to the chat box questions. Uh, as you said that card number and CVV is secure, then why don't the bank hide to display the details on the card? Instead, read the data from the Max Stripe. Max Stripe will never have like CVV and all. So okay, Max Stripe. Okay, I'm just coming back to your way itself. If at all like, they can read it from the Max Stripe, you can use only in the POS transaction, right? You can't uh, do the online transaction. So that's where the online transaction has emerged. Earlier, we could use only in the ATM machines. So to move ahead or like to emerge ourselves in the technical world, so they have started the online transactions. They have started supporting online transactions. So that's where the card number and the CVV has printed on the card. It is always, you will be holding it, right? It's your own card, so you will have to keep it safe. Bank never I mean it will be never possible. It will be like it's never possible to hide it from the banker side. Okay, I'm just going back again to my slides. Okay, so as we like evolve in online transactions and the digital world, so we have come up with the digital payments and this wallet, UPI, QR code. All these transactions has become popular or famous after this corona had come into picture. Earlier also we have been using, but now contactless payment has become famous. So the digital payments as in like wallet, Paytm, phone pay, all this. UPI is again phone pay, Google Pay are UPI. QR code, so again Paytm provides the QR code, and wherever you go and you will have the QR code, and you scan it and make the payment, right? So back end again, so the transaction, the flow, how it happens is like how I explained in the previous two slides. Like the POS transaction, it is going to be the same. So the backside, the transaction will never be changed. Only at the front end, like how are we going to use it in the digital world? So that differs, and that you know that sophisticates the end customer for contactless payments. So when we are experiencing wallet, UPI, and QR code based transaction, there are like few organizations already started giving us a sound based wave, sound wave based payment. So where this can be used not only in smartphone, it can be used in featured phone as well. Like digital payments we can use only in the smartphones, right, where it needs camera, where it should have the mobile network or Wi-Fi, all these. So, but sound wave based payment does not require any of this. We can use that in the basic phone as well. But this uses our mic and speaker of our phone. Okay, so the software will be given by the organization, whoever provides this facility. So that needs to be installed, or that needs to be installed in our phone, and the same way it will be installed in merchant's POS machine as well. So wherever, whenever we go and buy something, and we just need to enter some of the merchant ID in our phone, and then merchant will be getting an alert stating one customer is paying you some money. So either you agree or not to agree. So once they agree, our money will go back to will go to them. So that's how. I mean, okay, these all, whatever we are going to talk in this slide, only in the front end we would be, I mean, it's like the new global trends we would be experiencing at the front end. Back end, the transaction flow will remain the same, like as I have explained earlier. So nothing nothing has changed at the back end of the transaction, because it's already secured. I mean, bank has already started give the enough secure transaction flow. So only the organizations who who want some change in the payment world, so they are finding and experimenting new different trends. So sound wave based payment, next is voice based payment. You, like, many people must have seen, Alexa, can you make a payment for me using this app? So this is the word we always have it, Alexa. Or Siri. So Siri will help people who has iPhone. Alexa, it's like Amazon Google Voice Assistant. uh, so what will happen is voice based payment is this, all the devices who supports recognizing voice will start recognizing the owner of the device, and then it will recognize what is the instruction is given to it, and then it will start act accordingly. So that's how the voice based payment is also happening here. And then wearable payments, many people started wearing smart watches. So nowadays, like, organizations have started giving smart watches which has inbuilt facility of making payments to the merchants. Not only watches, even the fit tracker and some of the other, ladies bracelets have this chip in, it is already inbuilt in the certain uh, wearable instruments. So that chip will talk to the chip again, which is installed in the merchant POS machine, and then the communication will start from there, and then payment transaction will happen once we approve, once we both approve, ourselves and then merchant side. So these are just the front side of the global trends. Okay, I'll just see like we have any queries had come up. Okay, we have one question from Mr. Srinivasa Rao. Why the banks use MasterCard, Visa, MasterCard, RuPay? Why can't the bank issue their own card? Okay, bank always issue their own card, but they should have a tie-up with the payment brands, because payment brands will have the database of the all banks that will help them to route the transaction. For example, if you are using HDFC card in the SBI bank, so how SBI ATM will identify the issuer of the bank? It will be identifying using Visa or MasterCard or RuPay. So moving back again to my slide. Okay. So we have seen, how the transaction flow happens, what are the different type of cards, and what are the trends. So now we are seeing the security standards. So there should be one person above us, right, who should dictate us, how all these things needs to be secured. So that is called PCI DSS. I haven't put the expansion here, but I'll spell out Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. I repeat, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. This is a globally identified security standard for the organization who takes or who involves in the payment card transactions. It is applicable for all the banks, payment gateways, uh, and for the payment brands as well. So payment brands, Visa, MasterCard combined together along with different payment brands and made this standard to give the instruction for the organization how your entire organization and the network should be safe. So they have listed out few requirements. I'm not going in more into technical because that will have too much technical things. So this standard talks about, like, for example, we'll again keep it an example of Amazon here. So when we give once we complete the transaction, we give our card numbers, right? And we always save the card numbers in the Amazon database. We always select the checkbox when we enter the new credit or debit card details. We always check the box. Okay, there is an option called save this card for future reference or the future usage. So when we check that box, our card numbers expiry date gets stored in Amazon server. It is so how are they storing it? So someone should guide them, right? How that needs to be stored and how that needs to be retrieved back and how that needs to be passed on to the respective people to complete the transaction. So those guidelines has been given by this PCI DSS globally security standard. So they have always, they have the requirement that those requirement must be uh, any organization who involves in the payment card transaction should go through this PCI DSS audit. So once the audit is completed, so they will have in their logo, after that logo they can just paste it stating it's PCI DSS compliant. Once it's an assurance, like when we go and buy the product, we always check for this ISO certified product or not, any basic product. So that similarly is for the payment transaction, we always need to check like whether it is PCI DSS certified or not. You can see it in your Paytm application. Even Amazon is PCI DSS certified. So Amazon does not put that logo in their application, but if you go and log in into Amazon website in the Google Chrome or any browser, so they give the details, like what are the global standards they are following it. So as per PCI DSS, when a customer saves their own card details in the server, so that always needs to be encrypted. And only the card number and expiry date is allowed to be stored. CVV it's never allowed to be stored. It's meant by default, they should never store it. So that's why, like, whenever we do the multiple transactions, we always give back the CVV numbers every time when we do the transaction. So when we talk about PCI DSS, this does not give us the guidelines for the end customers. It always gives guidelines to the payment organizations who involves in the transaction. So in that case, it's not like we can be lethargic and then we can just do whatever we want if that's because it is our own card. So we shouldn't do that way. We should have always the basic awareness, like what to be done and what not to be done. Bank always dictates us, right? Like they always give this kind of security awareness. They give us a call from the customer care, or they send out the messages, emails and everything stating we should never share CVV and the ATM pin number with anyone, and also the full card number. So nowadays, bank has their own awareness to give the enough awareness to the end customers, stating they should never share secure details to anyone. So I'm going back again to see any questions that come up. Okay, no other questions. I'm going back to the slide itself. Okay. Next, let's talk about data breaches, like what is happening around us, like uh, the recent breaches. Let's talk about it. So there are like few breaches happened in 2021 and the later part of 2020 as well, where credit card details has been breached and that has been sold in the darknet or the black market. So why is it happening? It's all because of, like, there is a monetary gain when they sell our card details to the black market or the darknet. So how are they actually how is it happening? Either it happens directly through the hacking happens, like it it's always nothing. I mean, it's never happens from the end customer side, but it can happen at the merchant end, or the ATM POS transactions. So we have seen in news in multiple places, like in an ATM transaction has been hacked, or people have tried to break the ATM machines to take out the money. Breaking ATM machines it's never coming into the technical picture. It's just a physical exploit of the ATM machine. But at the back end, when they, like, duplicate our card insert machine, and that comes into a technical breach. So few times breaches happens from the end customer as well. Like how it happens, like people spoof themselves and send some of the emails, website, or text message stating, so they are claiming from their, like, they are from the banks, and then sends us out few of the unnecessary emails or messages to ask us to click on some of the links. So then from there they'll get an complete access to our mobile phones or the laptop, so that they can log in into our internet banking or the payment apps, bank apps, and then they can do the transaction. So it's a, again, like, we should never click the link whenever any new email comes or something. We always need to check, like, where, who has sent it, is it really from the bank, and what is that link talking about. And then we always can go back and check with the bank, did you, I mean, we can call the customer care and check, did I have received such email, so is that really from your bank, or is it like a spoofed email or something. So we should be really careful with, like, what are we clicking. So like, legitimate banks or any organization, they never ask any sensitive. So how we can identify this as a spoofed email or not? By these are the ways. So real companies, they never ask for sensitive information either over an email or like over phone. So they will have their own domain emails, like, if we must have received emails from the banks, right? So there, if we see their email ID, it is always legitimate, and they, like, it comes with a log symbol, and then their email ID will match with the email ID presented in their bank's website, and the URL which is given in the bank's email is also legitimate. We can always go and check in the bank's website and see, okay, these links are matching or not. So that's how we can identify, is it a spoofed email or real email from the banks. So these are the email messages, like we sometimes receive, okay, your debit card is blocked, you have to click this link to activate your account back. So some of the messages even I used to get it. Not only me, like, we many of us must have got it already, like by this time, like you during this pandemic or the lockdown, we always, I mean, this spoofed people had emerged, I mean, lot. So sometimes we used to get an email like a charity phishing, right? So in that case, like, okay, we do some charity, so if you could, I'm trying to do the charity. It's like an email comes from different country, and they would say, okay, I'm trying to donate some amount to the poor people in your country, would you be willing to provide your account details? I am ready to share this money dollar amount, all this blah blah blah, and all these are it's all like a cheating, or it's all it's a kind of hacking ways. Okay, so this, if you in this slide, I have put the message which I have received itself. Like, this message claims like they have sent it from Paytm. So it's like a dear Paytm customer, your Paytm KYC has been suspended. Please call this number. Otherwise, your account will be blocked. So if I call the number that they have provided, my mobile control will go to them. So that's how they always, like, some of the other ways they send us these trojans, viruses, malwares to our phones and take the control of our mobile phones and then get into our mobile bank apps and then take our money. Or, like, they try to see the OTP also if they are doing the transaction on behalf of us. So that's how they take charge on our mobile and then take whatever the necessary details. And then social engineering as in, like, people try to talk in a good way to us and then be friendly and then take all the enough information from us, like, people, when we are like so friendly to people, we always get tend to share the credit card details, our Amazon account details. If we have the membership, we share it. And that's, if we are sharing the membership subscription, so there we have already saved the card numbers. So they just need the CVV. So it's always, like, it's kind of a psychological manipulation of the people. So that's how the social engineering happens. They just talk very friendly and then they take whatever the necessary details they want to complete the transaction. So, and that's how they, like, it's all at the end, money comes into picture. So what So how to identify, like, how will you identify, like, if someone is trying to do the social engineering with you? It's like an email from your friend or relatives. Like, it's like it's a trend in Facebook nowadays. Uh, some of the other people, I mean, we get a message from the known profile itself stating, I am in a need. So if you could transfer some money through your through your Google Pay or something, it's all like a kind of spoofing or phishing. It's like you're trying to get the money. It's like a use like, using someone else profile. It's like a spoofing themselves as a known person and then trying to manipulate us to get the money. It's like some people, like, they just say, like, oh, I'm raising the fund for some of the other medical reason or some of the other basic needs, that I lost the job due to pandemic. All this, like, that's all, like, we really need to check and call the person, respective person. If it is a known friend or relative, we need to check with them. We need to call and check with them, like, okay, are you the person who sent this message or email? If not, we always can report it back. Like, if there is a option in the Gmail, or, like, report it as a phishing or spam. So we have to click that, and then from there Gmail will take the action on that particular email address. How we would be able to defend all these kind of attacks is, first is a basic awareness. We should know what should not be shared with anyone includes anyone, like, I mean, even friends, close relatives, and everyone. Okay, so we should, yeah, like I said, CVV, ATM pin, and the full card number should never be shared, and even the password. Yeah, sometimes we keep same password for multiple of our applications, or, like, we keep the same password, right? We tend to forget. People tend to forget, so we always keep the same password for across all the application. In that case, if we share one password with any of our friends, it is so easy for people who has, like, malicious idea to breach the account, so they can do it. They can always go and do it. Parental control, as in, like, if nowadays online classes are going on, so we are tend to give our mobile phone and laptops to our kids. So in that case, so we never log out from our Amazon account, Paytm account, or Flipkart, whatever. So we have kept our card number is also stored over there. So if at all kids knows the CVV number, or if at all they can reach our card details, and then they can take out the CVV number, and like, if they want to buy whatever they wanted to, it's like, again, it's like there's no control on the kids, right? I mean, so we should always see, like, which are the apps they are using. And sometimes, uh, kind of, like, kids try to use a Facebook and Instagram accounts, so they tend to chat with the people who are really unknown. So they try to exploit the people and take the card number. Okay, can you give your mama papa's card numbers? So it's all anyways. If the kid says I don't know, you can just go and give a password of your Amazon, your parents' Amazon account, whatever. So they can just easily take it, right? Okay, they can. What I'm saying is, hacker can easily manipulate kids' uh, mentality. So kids, it's kids never know, like who is a good or bad person. So we should always have the control on our kids, like what are they using and what is not allowed to be used. And then strong password, we always keep our pins for our mobile phones, right? So in that, similarly, we should have a strong password for all our bank applications, and then like wallet applications and etc. Two-factor authentication, many people must have seen when they accessing Gmail. So when you give your username password, and then you will get one more OTP to authenticate yourself. Authenticate as in here you are approving yourself. Okay, I am the one trying to log in into this particular account. So this two-factor authentication will always help us, okay, to identify by the any other organization. Okay, so he or she is the one trying to access the account. Okay, let's provide the access. So that's how the two-factor authentication help us, like access our own account in a secure way. Antivirus, we always have antivirus in our laptop. Do we have it in our smartphones? That's a question, like do we have it? Okay, if not, let's install it and then let's use it. Secure configuration, secure configuration for our desktops or laptops. Have your antivirus ready and have it updated, and then don't click on the link, any link. And then always update your OS for both mobile and your phones, mobile phones and your laptops. Always update the OS. So whenever whenever they are releasing the OS as an operating system here, your Android OS or mobile laptop has the Windows OS. Whenever they release the new OS, it is like they have patched up some of the other vulnerability, or they have patched up some of the other bugs they have found it. So we should always have the up-to-date OS in our systems. So awareness, as in like I've just given a explanation what it's like, what we call it as awareness. Yeah, spread the words, like you all learned, okay, what needs to be done, when, I mean, where do we need to be aware when we do the payment transaction, right? So you just convey these words to your friends, relatives, and etc. And awareness, again, good click, bad click. Okay, good click as in like we should always use the link which we get it from the bank, and not from the any spoofed emails. Good share and bad share, we should never share passwords, CVVs, any sensitive information to anyone. Parental control, yeah, so we have discussed this already. Strong password. So I was talking about PCI DSS standard, right? Payment card industry data security standard. So they recommend this, all these four requirements to be considered as strong password. Your password should contain 7 characters length, and that in that 7 characters length, one should be in uppercase, one should be in a lowercase, one must be a special character. And you have to change your passwords frequently, as in like once, 2 months once, 3 months once. That way you should share it, you should, sorry, change it frequently. And then you should never use the same password again and again. So if we are using the same password again and again, so there's no security over there, right? And last but not least, never share the password with anyone. And the two-factor authentication, this is the example. Antivirus, yeah, we should have the antivirus installed in mobiles, laptop, and PC, and it should be updated frequently. And whenever you get the time, you always run your antivirus to check whether to check your phone is infected by virus or not. You can always run your antivirus software and check it out. Secure configuration is nothing but, like, we have discussed this anyways before. I have just listed out what is considered to be secure configuration. Yeah, you should never connect with public Wi-Fi. So if you're going to railway station or airport, they always provide free Wi-Fi. So you will be, it's like they also give it for 1 hour or half an hour basis, but still once you connect, your phone domain name will be stored in their airport server, right? If anyone tries to hack airport server, your phone's domain name will go to them. So that's why you should never connect with the free Wi-Fi. We always use your own mobile network. And be mindful of every app, whatever app you install, just see what are permissions they are asking. So earlier we have to select all the permissions they are asking for to install the application. Nowadays we have the option, whichever you want you can give the permission, otherwise you don't need to. And then update software, whatever the software that you have, we have so many apps in our phone, so let's try to update it on a regular basis. So that's about it. So I'm ready to answer questions now. I have a question from Sulabha Patel. There were 20 thefts recently using for ATM machine where message displayed was transaction denied, but money was dispensed by the machine. All this was done by bypassing bank. Later it was revealed that sensors of the ATM machine. Okay, so when you go to the ATM, so I'm just stop sharing. When you go to the ATM, so in the entire ATM machine, it's just a one small box where you swipe your card, right? So you have to check that thoroughly. Okay, is there any different extra devices attached to that particular ATM inserting machine? If yes, then you should leave the ATM immediately and inform the bank also. And also when you type your PIN number, you should see either any new PIN pad is attached to it or not. We can easily see it. Okay, if anyone tries to steal our ATM card details and the PIN numbers, they always tend to attach a new PIN pad. PIN pad as in where we type the PIN. Okay, so that will be always like a kind of enlarged version kind. We can see easily figure out, okay, this is newly added or is it an existing one. So if it is newly added, please don't give the PIN. And you can some of the ATMs have the security guards, you can inform them, or otherwise you can inform your bank stating, okay, so I could feel something is wrong, something is fishy here in this ATM, I could see PIN pad is like two different PIN pads here. So that's how we should stop. We should always see, okay, whenever we go, we should see the ATM inserting machine and then PIN pads are in a proper position. Okay. One question from Mr. Srinivasa Rao. I think we do not get OTP for international transactions. So how makes it sure that the transaction is from genuine account holder? Okay. When you do international transaction, do you mean, if you could unmute yourself, Mr. Srinivasa Rao, and then tell me what do you really mean by international transaction here? Do you mean online transaction?
Ratna ma'am, when we do international transactions, we don't get the OTP there.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that's what I'm asking. Do you refer online transaction here, like when you make Amazon, when you purchase an Amazon.com? Yeah. So you will never get the OTP, but it's like you are going to initiate the transaction, right?
Yeah. Somebody else, if they get my details, they can also do.
That's right. You are absolutely right.
Two-factor authentication won't happen then.
That's right. So in that case, what you have to do is, like, when you check your credit card statement or your ATM card your debit card statement, you will see it, right? What is the transaction that has happened? If you find any discrepancy, you have to report it back to the bank. Okay. So then they will do the investigation and they will refund your money. That's how it happens. So they will have to find out whether the transaction has happened by you or from any illegitimate person. If it is an illegitimate person, bank will take the responsibility and will refund your money, and they will reissue your card.
No, it has happened with my friend.
Okay.
So yes, like sir, nowadays, so Visa, Master, they're giving the option like you can lock international transactions.
Yes,
only
that's
when
right.
you go abroad, they are given that safety measure.
Correct. So when you do international transaction, you have to whitelist your card with your bank. Even though Visa and Mastercard approves for the international transaction, we should always intimate our banks that we are going to the other country, and then you can whitelist my card. So you so in that case, bank will also be aware, okay, this person will swipe the card from this only from this particular country. So then they would not authorize the transaction from any other different countries. So the same case for the online transaction as well. For the online transaction, you have to check your card statement, and then you can, if at all any discrepancy, you have to report back to your bank. Next is the question from using VPNs while connecting to public Wi-Fi. That would also help, but to certain extent. Again, your some of the other your mobile details will go to the public Wi-Fi. Okay, VPNs used while connecting to public Wi-Fi. Now, once you connect your mobile public Wi-Fi and then you will start your VPN, right? So in that case, again, your mobile domain name will be stored in the airport server or wherever you use your public Wi-Fi. Any other questions?
Ratnam, is there any possibility of the CVV, the number of digits getting increased? Well, just
No,
a
sir.
3-digit number. Anybody can guess the number.
No, they can't guess the number. It's not possible because it like there's so much of combination and permutation happens uh, to generate a new
3-digit,
CVV.
the factorial is very low. The number of possibilities.
That's what I'm coming back, sir. So at like it's really impossible. Okay, so that CVV is calculated based on your card number. So there are so many calculation happens behind in the bank itself to generate a new CVV that maps back again to your card number. When the authorization happens, so you always give the new CVV for every new transaction, right? So in that case, bank will check your full card number, expiry date, and then CVV. So they'll do the new calculation and then they'll derive. So bank also never stores your CVV when. So if at all your issuer bank also never stores. So they always recalculates the CVV for every transaction. So in that case, it's not possible for anyone to guess the CVV.
So it is a computed value, CVV.
Yes, it is. Yes, yes. There's a formula behind it to derive new CVV for every cards.
If any
It is not.
outsider comes to know,
It's not a serial number wise. Oh, sorry, sir, I missed you.
if any outsider comes to know about the method of CVV,
No, it's not possible. So they can't. That's what I'm saying. Like once your card is issued, bank will delete all the CVVs from their database also. They also never store it.
thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir. Any other question? Okay, if not, I think we can close this session.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can post your questions in the chat box. So this session is a very important one because we are facing a lot of issues in this online payment system.
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you. Okay, one more question from Sulabha Patel.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
ATM pins are numeric 4-digit numbers. How safe it is? Okay. It's the same case, like how are they generating CVV? It's the same way they are generating ATM PIN as well. The 4-digit number is getting generated. It's being generated by the bank itself, the bank who issues the card for you. So they will generate ATM 4-digit ATM number, and then they'll issue it to you. Once they once they print your ATM PIN on the paper, we always get the ATM PIN also over the letter, right? Or sometimes we get it over message, or we can also generate. We can, when we generate, it's okay. But if at all bank is generating and then issuing it to us, then once they issue it to us, they'll delete it from their database. And then whenever we do the ATM transaction, whenever we swipe the card, so when bank does the authorization, they will regenerate the ATM pin and check to see whether the right person is swiping the card or not. So in that way, it is safe. So unless and until you don't share it, we don't share it with anyone, it is safe. Okay. Next is a question from Mr. Silva Vinayagam. Is Google Pay safe for transfer? Yes, it is. Again, it depends on, to whom you are transferring. If you are transferring to the known person, yes, it is safe. Otherwise, some of recently we have seen people in Facebook chat stating, I am in a danger, so if you could transfer some money, or I am out of money, if you could share some money using Google Pay, or take a screenshot and then send it to me. So we should never, if we know the people, we can take the screenshot and send it. Otherwise, we should never do the transaction itself. In that case, Google Pay is safe, because Google Pay takes care of their network really well, because they follow PCI DSS standard.
Thank you.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
Ma'am, one last question.
Yes, sir.
In State Bank, when we use the ATM, they ask us to first try to enter a number between 1 to 99, and then they follow with a PIN code. Why is that 2-digit asked before?
1 to 99. Oh, I have never faced the situation. Can you please repeat it, sir?
Ma'am, when we do transactions in a SBI ATM,
Mm-hmm.
and if it is an SBI card, they ask for a 2-digit number which is between 1 and 99. And once we enter that, they ask the PIN code.
Is it really any number or any two?
Any number we can enter between 1 and 25.
I don't
1
know
and
what is
99.
okay. I really don't know the logic behind it, because it's no use. If we enter any 2-digit number, might be to check whether you are a real human being or a bot. That's all is
In
possible.
the ATM, so it is obviously it has to be a human being.
That's right. You are right.
Because
But
I'm
still,
putting in my card and then authenticating it.
okay, that's where, it's like how you identify or how you attest yourself using by giving captcha. Similarly, they are asking to check. They're just asking to verify whether you're human or not.
There's
That's
no
what
other
I feel.
ATM they ask this. Only
Okay,
SBI
so
ATM with SBI card.
okay, I really don't know, sir. What is the logic behind it? What I feel is it could be to see whether it's a human or not. Sometimes that's what I'm saying, no, sir. Uh, some people spoof it. So to check it out, they might see. That's all. But we can always check back with this SBI itself. I don't have account with SBI, so I don't know.
This was a question lying with my mind. Like, why do they ask that 2 digits?
No problem, sir. I can check it out. But I guess it's a new thing for me also. I'll see.
It happens only with SBI ATM. It doesn't happen
Okay,
everywhere.
okay.
And some ATMs are allowing to take money after taking our card, ATM card. Some are not giving money without taking an ATM card.
So okay, it's all the
Because I miss some cards due to the problem only.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, so it's the logic behind, it's all the bank's logic. How do they want to issue money? Either after giving the card, ATM machine can dispense the amount, or otherwise it dispense the cash first and then gives the card back. So it's all the logic, the bank's logic. It's all the physical machine. It is not coming into the technical perspective, sir. It's different.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, one question from Mr. Lamal. Shall we change the CVV? No, we can't. Oh, one more question. Does the payment gateway support new payment methods? So, can you please unmute yourself and tell me like what do you refer here as a new payment methods? Mr. Papraj. Payment methods as in like, the one I was explaining, or do you refer something else? Can you please unmute and tell me? Okay. I didn't get the question. So does the payment gateway support new payment methods? So the payment gateway supports all the debit or credit cards and the prepaid cards as well. So the new wearable and voice based and all, it is applicable only for the POS transaction, not for the online transactions. I hope I have answered you. Okay. So few people have answered your question, Mr. Srinivasa Rao, to test whether it is a robot or human. Yes, it is. Does the ATM machine stores our data? Not the ATM machine. It's a bank server stores our data. So they store our debit card details and along with other transaction details to complete the transaction. Some of the other details may not be technical one, but regarding the transaction they do store, but they do store it in an encrypted format, not in a clear text. One more question for new ATM cards. Why bank is generating last 2 digit of the PIN and ask the user to choose only first? Why not the user choose their own PIN as they wish? Any reason? Okay, it is again none of the payment security standard or any council or RBI never dictates all this. It's all banks technology, or they are trying to figure out which can be secure. So in that case, it's I don't know which bank is doing this. CITM, I don't know. The person who has asked can unmute and help me out.
If you have an ATM card,
and to answer the question, end user, our customer like us, can choose our ATM pins, all the 4 digits. Nowadays, banks never issues the ATM pins. It's all it is based on our own wish. We can give our own ATM pin. If at all bank is issuing their ATM pin, we always can we can change it back. We can change it as per our wish. We don't need to always use the bank's one. Oh, it's SBI Bank again. Okay. Why bank?
by having an ATM card and mobile of a particular person, we can able to transfer money. So it's a very big issue.
I can't hear you well, sir. I can't hear you well. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, by having ATM card and the mobile number of a particular person, we can able to transfer amount. That's a very big issue.
Yes, that you are right. Yes. If we have lost mobile phone or the ATM card, we should block it immediately.
No.
If anyone gets sometimes we lose it, right? Somewhere of the other place, we lose our mobile phone, entire wallet and everything. So in that case, we have to block it immediately.
Okay.
And then report at the right time, when we lost it. So using that information, bank will block all the transactions, or they will not authenticate or authorize the transaction, whichever has happened during the particular period. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. On behalf of the organizing team CIT, in current scenario, this cashless card payment city, so it would be help us more. Thank you so much, ma'am, for spending your valuable time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nice talking to you all. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you.
participants, be online. There are some more instructions to you. Yes, at last we have a validity function at 2:30 p.m.